Good morning. And good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. My name is Roz Cook. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am your worship assistant this morning. We are glad you could join us today. And if you are new to our congregation, we encourage you to fill out a newcomer form that you can find down in the lobby if they haven't found you already to tell you about it. We also encourage everyone to stay for coffee and donuts after the service. And we certainly welcome families with children. All families are invited to connect with our Minister of Congregational Life, Reverend Sabrina Trupia, for more information about any of our religious education programs. And if you are attending online, you can connect with each other in the chat. And please don't forget there is a link for virtual coffee hour that you can find in the weekly e-news. So here come the important announcements this morning. Sabrina's coming first.
Good morning, everyone. Today at 11:30 is the last of the fall series of newcomer classes, which are also for not newcomers. If you want to come in room C1, which is turning right from the entrance, feel free to come. We're going to be talking about practice and service. Also, the no rehearsal pageant, Christmas pageant, is coming next Sunday. Oh my God, next Sunday. That's next Sunday, December 14th. We will need lots of people. We have costumes, or you can bring your own Christmas-themed costume, like a, livestock angel, biblically correct angel, etc. You can be the Virgin Mary or Joseph, even though your name might not be Mary or Joseph, or just come as you are. Everyone, not just children, can participate. Roz?
I don't think I can beat that last announcement, but okay. Other important things to know. Today after church, there will be a very simple, informal lunch with stone soup provided by the children of the church. Everyone is welcome. We will ask only that you clean up your own eating space and make a free will offering if you can. Also, the First Unitarian Social Justice Committee's 2026 planning retreat will be Saturday, January 10th from 9 to 1 a.m. There will be further details in the e-news. And the Tuesday Human Rights Matter visual will be moved to an earlier time since it's getting so dark. It will be from 3:30 to 4:30 Tuesdays, and people want to be visible. So that's why it's being moved. Now, please center yourself in preparation for worship. Well, I didn't get a chance to introduce that beautiful music, but now you've heard it. That was Veni Emmanuel, performed by Judy Meyer with help from Carolyn Toft. So welcome again to our religious community where we affirm the worth and dignity of all who enter. We gather in community, understanding we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, identity, and theology. Our values invite us to a shared journey of truth and meaning making. Together, we foster a spirit of gratitude and generosity so that all may feel welcome and all can thrive. We are very glad you are here with us this morning. Please enjoy our prelude, Lo, How a Rose Ere Blooming, arranged by Gordon Young and performed by Alan Hoffman.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Kim Mason. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve this congregation as your lead minister. Our Soul Matters theme for this month is Choosing Hope. I invite you into worship with these words by Pat Uribe Lichty. We gather. We bring our sorrows, our disappointments, our failures. We gather for healing, for laughter, and to rejoice. We gather to find new ways of loving, new ways of thinking, new ways of being. We gather. Always we gather, for it is in gathering that we find our hope. Let us gather in hopeful worship this morning. Please rise as you are willing and able for our open hymn number.
Our chalice lighting this morning are also our Advent words. So the placing of candles upon a circle of evergreens is an age-old tradition. Lighting additional candles each day or week as the light wanes has been part of human rituals for centuries upon centuries. We light candles each week with anticipation as we know a new season will soon be here. So our Advent wreath has 2 candles. The second candle represents peace. In this time of expectancy and celebration, let us hold on to the ideal of peace. Even though wars rage around the world, and sometimes in our hearts, we recognize that peace arrives gently and to an open heart. We light the candle of peace to remind us that it is with the softness of a dove's wing that peace descends upon us. We light the candle of peace.
Good morning. I am Reverend Sabrina Trippi. I serve as the Minister of Congregational Life, and I use they, them pronouns. As you may have noticed, heard in the announcements, or perhaps read in the e-news, today all the RE classes start in the kitchen because we're learning about generosity, and we're making soup, which we will be glad to share with you after service. And yet, note that I'm still here doing the connection moment. Look, no children connection moment. What's that about? This is a moment for everyone, as always, but the children are making soup. And today, I want to read you the story of stone soup. This was Karen Seeger's favorite story, and we want to connect to her memory and to all the good works she did in the community, especially her involvement in religious education. So today I give you Stone Soup, retold by Dawn Daniels. Once upon a time, far away yet very near, a weary traveler came to a quiet village. He went door to door, begging for food to silence the hunger in his belly. The fearful villagers, each in turn told the stranger that food was scarce. There was nothing to share, and closed the doors to him. Oh, they are in great need indeed, thought the hungry man. So from the center of the village square, the traveler called out, "All of you take heart. I will make enough stone soup to feed us all." Stone soup? How ridiculous, thought the villagers. You can't make soup from a stone. The traveler pulled from his knapsack a banged-up old tin can, filled it with water from the town well. He then built a small fire and set that can over the flame. The village children had wandered over out of curiosity and were watching the man from the safety of some nearby trees. They were amazed to see the man take from his pocket a common earth-tone stone and toss it with a loud kerplunk into the can of water. As he crouched down, stirring the water with a stick, the weary traveler spoke aloud to himself, "Oh, this will be a fine stone soup, more than enough for everyone to share." "My parents think you're a fool," one of the boys called out from behind an oak tree. The traveler kept stirring. One of the children, a very small girl, ran from the shelter of the trees and approached the man. She watched him as he stirred, humming quietly to himself. She said, "Mister, that can won't hold enough soup for us all," she blurted out, "and my mother has a much bigger pot." After a pause, she added, "Would you like us to go get it for you?" "Why, thank you, sweet girl," replied the stranger. "You are most kind." So the girl ran with several of the other children to fetch the bigger soup pot. As the children worked together with the traveler to fill the new pot with warm water, they asked him what stone soup tasted like. "Oh, it's quite delicious," said the traveler, "and the best thing is that it's always different every time and every place I make it." "Why?" asked the children. "Every time I make this wondrous soup, something quite magical happens," replied the traveler. "What?" they asked. "Well, it usually starts with someone going to fetch a little of what they think will make the soup taste better," said the man, "like a bit of carrot or a bit of onion. Most people seem to think that the stone needs a little help. I could be wrong. Maybe it's different in your village, but so far on this journey, I've found that people have much more to share than they think they do." The children were quiet for a time, and then they gathered close around, gazing into the soup pot. Could it be true? After a few moments, they all ran off towards their homes, calling over their shoulder as they went, "We'll be back soon. Keep stirring." It wasn't long before the villagers, young and old alike, began arriving in the town square. The little girl who had first offered the bigger soup pot stepped forward with her mother by her hand. "We would like to add some carrot to the soup," the mother said. The little girl tossed a handful of chopped carrot into the pot. Grinned the traveler. "The soup smells better already. Thank you." Soon all of the villagers were adding a little of this, a little of that to the steaming pot. Onions, celery, more carrot, potato, turnips, rutabaga, green beans, barley, herbs, salt. Even a little meat found its way to the soup. The traveler said thank you for each contribution. It wasn't long before the village square was filled with the smell of the glorious soup and the sound of the villagers talking and laughing together. Tables were brought out and soon covered with colorful clothes and plenty of bowls and spoons for everyone. Loaves of crusty bread appeared and even some cheese. When the soup was all done, all of the villagers gathered around the pot with bowls in hand to share the bounty before them. The traveler served each person in turn, then sat down to join in the feast. Everyone ate until their bellies were full. When it was time to continue on his way, the traveler bent down to pick up the old tin can into his knapsack. The villagers all gathered around him, and he felt a small hand on his shoulder. "Here's your stone, mister," said the little girl. "I found it at the bottom of the pot." "I think you should keep it," the traveler said, looking around them all. "You can use it to make stone soup whenever you need to remember that you have enough, and that when you share together, there's always enough." And as the traveler left the village, he stooped down to pick up another common earth-toned stone, slipped it into his pocket, and continued on his way. The end. And now Alan is going to play me out.
In our community, we choose hope when we share our joys and concerns, our celebrations and our milestones. The invitation to community, to support, to celebration and love is a request for connection. As I read our joys and sorrows this morning, you are invited forward to drop a stone in the bowl for anything that is weighing you down, and to pick up a mini bubble wand and blow bubbles as you return to your seat for those things that are lifting you up. You are invited forward. Each week in our service, we connect with one another by sharing our sorrows and concerns. This week, in our congregation, we hold the peace and comfort and compassion for a friend moving from chemotherapy to the next stages of treatment. We hold the concern of making choices and putting off concerns with a "that's a problem for later," and discovering that it's later. And we carry the worry and clarity after a catastrophic fire hit a project in which one of our members is involved. We hold these concerns with tenderness and compassion. May they be lighter because they are shared. As a community, we also share our joys and celebrations with one another. This week, the joy of a kitten means a constant battle of wits in which the kitten's new servant mostly wins. And someone else appreciates sinking joyfully into the crazy cat lady who talks to her cat's archetype. Y'all are clearly my people. And we share gratitude and appreciation for a weekend of seasonal joy, a flute concert, a children's play, tree shopping with grandchildren. We lift up these joys with gladness and celebration. May they be magnified because they are shared. With many joys and concerns remaining unspoken in our hearts and minds, please join me in a spirit of prayer and mindful attention with words from the Reverend Michelle Collins. Spirit of life and love, holy within and among us, we come carrying the burden of our own discouragements, the job that didn't work out, the relationship that ended, the dream deferred once again. Some mornings it feels easier to stay in bed than face another day of uncertainty. Yet here we are, gathered in this place that reminds us hope is not a feeling we wait for, but a choice we make. Spirit of love, source of grace, hold gently those among us who struggle to find reasons for hope, whose depression whispers lies about their worth, whose anxiety paints tomorrow in fearful colors. Grant us patience with our own healing and compassion for our stumbling toward wholeness. May we learn that hope is not the absence of struggle, but the decision to keep moving through it. Spirit of life, great wonder, we remember that even our smallest steps forward matter, that courage comes not from feeling brave, but acting despite our fear. May we find hope in unexpected places, in the kindness of strangers, in our own capacity to survive, in this community that holds us when we cannot hold ourselves. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Our reading today is The Star Thrower by anthropologist and educator Lauren Isley. It's rather long, so bear with me. I have caught a glimpse of what humanity may be along an endless, wave-beaten coast at dawn. It began on the beaches of Costabel. I was an inhumanly stripped skeleton, without voice, without hope, wandering alone upon the shores of the world. I was devoid of pity because pity implies hope. It was there that I met the star thrower. As the sound of the sea became heavier and more menacing, I rounded a bluff. Long-limbed starfish were strewn everywhere, sprawling where the waves had tossed them as though showered down through the night sky. The sun behind me was pressing upward at the horizon's rim, an ominous red glare amidst the humbling blackness of the clouds. Ahead of me, over the projecting point, a gigantic rainbow of incredible perfection had sprung, shimmering into existence. Towards its foot, I discerned a human figure standing, as it seemed to me, within the rainbow. He was gazing fixedly at something on the sand. He stooped and flung an object beyond the breaking surf. In a pool of sand and silt, a starfish had thrust its arms up stiffly and was holding its body away from the stifling mud. "It's still alive," I ventured. "Yes," he said, and with a quick yet gentle movement, he picked up the star and spun it over my head and far out into the sea. "It may live if the offshore pull is strong enough," he said. In sudden embarrassment for words, I said, "Do you collect shells?" "Only ones like this," he said softly, gesturing amidst the wreckage of the shore, "and only for the living." He stooped again and skipped another star neatly across the water. "The stars," he said, "throw well. One can help them." He looked full at me with a faint question kindling in his eyes. "No, I do not collect," I said uncomfortably. "Neither the living nor the dead. I gave it up a long time ago. Death is the only successful collector." I nodded and walked away, leaving him there with the great rainbow ranging up the sky behind him. The evolutionists saw life rushing outward from an unknown center, just as today the astronomer senses the galaxies fleeing into the infinity of darkness. From the Darwinian thesis, we moved to Freud's inner world, where the mind is revealed as a place of contending furies. For this reason, I had come to Costa Bell. "Love not the world," the biblical injunction runs. "But I do love the world," I whispered to the empty room. "I love its small ones, the things beaten in the strangling surf, the singing bird which falls and is not seen again, the lost ones, the failures of the world." Thus was the renunciation of my scientific heritage. I had seen the star thrower cross the rift. He had moved to the utmost edge of natural being. I had been unbelieving, hardened by the indifference of maturity. I found him on a projecting point of land. Silently, I sought and picked up a still living star, spinning it out far into the wave. I spoke once briefly. "I understand," I said. "Call me another thrower." Only then I allowed myself to think. He is not alone any longer. All of us, after us, there will be others. We are part of the rainbow, like the drawing of a circle in the mind, the circle of perfection.
The First Unitarian Church of St. Louis strives to be a welcoming congregation, inspiring lives of loving kindness and integrity by nurturing spirituality, building community, and advancing justice. One of the ways we do that is by sharing the plate. All non-pledged donations received this morning will go toward Dream Builders for Equity. Dream Builders is working to develop economically sustainable and socially engaged communities by growing equity for youth, businesses, residents, and real estate. They do so by employing local minority youth and contractors to do large-scale community-led development projects that address the vacant home problem in the St. Louis region, thus putting money and equity back in the pockets of people within the community while creating workforce development and scaling minority-owned contracting businesses. Dream Builders for Equity envisions a world in which all communities have the courage to dream, the skills to build, and the resources to own their own future. This morning's offering will now be received. It is quite a weekend here at First Unitarian. We celebrated the beginning of this season with hanging of the greens on Friday night. Then 17 folks from the congregation went down to Steelville to participate in a Remember the Removal on the Trail of Tears where it crossed Missouri. And then tonight we have our annual Singing Bowl meditation in the chapel. For all the gifts of this season, for all the folks that make our practices and our gatherings possible, and for your gifts this morning, thank you. Now, before I begin my sermon this morning, I do want to note that The sermon contains a reference to a fictional suicide attempt. If you or anyone you know is considering suicide, help is available. You can contact myself, you can contact Karen Concerns, you can contact Reverend Sabrina, as well as Missouri 988, a confidential 24-hour hotline where you can call or text anytime. One of my favorite books of the past 10 years is A Man Called Ove by Swedish author Fredrik Backman. Some of you may recall it as A Man Called Otto, the American film starring Tom Hanks. Ove, Otto, was depressed. His wife had died 6 months previously. His employer had forced him to retire, and he had been in an argument with his best friend for the past 20 years. Ove's only joy was issuing citations for violating the neighborhood HOA rules. It's a pretty depressing life when that's your joy. Ove might have had reason to be a little blue. Ove feels no purpose, finds no hope. And so in his despair, he decides to end his life. During a clumsy attempt, he is interrupted when a neighbor moving in across the street knocks on his door. In his living room, with a length of rope and a chair, Ove has to make a decision. Does he ignore the knocking, or does he answer the door? He answers the door, and that changes everything. In this winter season, many of us are facing challenges. We may feel like Ove, grieving and without joy or purpose. We may have lost a job. We may be struggling with work. We may be estranged from family or friends, or moving through the grief of death. We may be dealing with a health issue or managing addiction. Our trials may be physical or public, or internal and confidential. When life is more difficult than delightful, we feel out of alignment with the folks around us. Resiliency feels impossible when you're buffeted on all sides with challenges. Change feels too hard when you're simply trying to make it from day to day. What remains in times of trouble and tribulation is choice. We choose whether to persist. We choose whether to believe that things can or will improve. That belief, that's hope. Hope is not a feeling or a mood or a personality type. Hope is a choice, writes theologian Jim Wallace, which makes hope a verb, an action, something that you do. Hope is not a passive wishing, but an active engagement in creating new possibilities. Hope is necessary for transformation, one of our UU values. And hope is a key ingredient in resiliency. So this morning, we are going to practice choosing hope. I'm calling this the Choose Your Own Adventure sermon. I am going to present you with a series of scenarios, and you get to choose what happens next. Ready? Let's go. You live on a remote island. You discover that an unusual species of bird has been wiped out by the introduction of non-native predators, and now there are only 5 remaining, and just one of them is a female. You decide to relocate all the birds to a smaller island without predators, and that lone female produces 2 eggs, the usual size of a clutch for this particular species. Here is your choice. Do you A, believe that the natural environment is the best way that animals thrive, and you decide to leave the 2 eggs alone in hope that they will hatch and the female will produce more eggs next year? Or do you B, believe that having more eggs will increase the chance of chicks surviving, and then you take the 2 eggs and put them in an incubator in hope that the female will produce a second clutch of eggs? A? Show of hands. A? Or B? Show of hands for B. I'm very sorry to report that you chose option A. And by choosing option A, there are now maybe like 50 more of these birds. Had you chosen option B, you would have learned that this is the true story of the Chatham Island robins of New Zealand. In 1980, there were just 5 birds. Once relocated, scientists made the very risky choice to act by taking the eggs of the first clutch. The female did indeed produce a second clutch. They did that 4 more times. Thus, there are now more than 300 Chatham Island robins in New Zealand. The scientists chose hope. They could have sat by and passively watched, but by taking action, they successfully saved the Chatham Island robins from extinction. This is the real-life version of the reading Roz shared earlier. Choosing to save the starfish or leaving them on the beach for the course of nature to take place. Hope looks the world full on. It looks reality in the face, and it refuses to accept that things have to be this way, writes journalist and public intellectual Krista Tippett. This orientation of hope throws one's intelligence, one's energy, one's persistence, one's creativity and courage behind that insistence. Here's your next story. You live in a small city and you work at a local credit union. You begin your day as usual at work when all of a sudden you hear a massive roaring and feel yourself falling. You find yourself in a dark, enclosed space full of heat and dust, and you cannot move. You hear sirens and you realize that something terrible has happened. You begin bargaining with God. I want a do-over. I didn't finish college. I don't have kids. I didn't get to do any of the things I want to do. If I live, I will do it all. After 6.5 hours, rescuers pull you from the rubble. Here's your choice. A, you send a quick thank you prayer to God, and after you recover from your injuries, you go back to your life as usual, finding peace, comfort, and meaning in those familiar routines to foster your healing. Or B, you send a quick thank you prayer to God, and after you recover from your injuries, you re-enroll in college, you get your degree, you have a child with your spouse, and you become an Ironman triathlete. A? Show of hands. Are we A? Everybody wants to be a triathlete. Or B? All right. This is the true story of Amy Downs, who survived the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995. Downs was 28 years old, had dropped out of college with a 0.5 GPA, and she weighed 355 pounds. After the bombing, she changed her entire life. She completed college, she raised a son, she finished an Ironman triathlon at the age of 50, and became CEO of the same credit union where she was working when the bombing happened. 168 people were killed in the bombing, including Downs' best friend. In the aftermath of that horrific day, she was overwhelmed by grief and trauma. But someone convinced her to start therapy, and that started her healing. I feel like we all end up being buried in the rubble of life, says Downs. All of us at some point face something devastating, something we didn't plan for. We all face that. Downs is the living example of the Twitter meme, now X, that says, quote, "People speak of hope as if it is this delicate, ephemeral thing made of whispers and spider webs. It's not. Hope has dirt on her face, blood on her knuckles, the grit of the cobblestones in her hair, and just spat out a tooth as she rises for another go." When life knocked her sideways, Downs demanded another go. Yet even if she hadn't completely transformed her life, Downs would still be here, participating in this great experiment we call life. And living is the biggest act of hope there is. Children's book author Amy Least writes, "There are so many ways to practice hope as a verb. If you are reaching out to your community, even in small ways, you hope. If you are reading to your child and talking to them like they're an intelligent being, you hope. If you are growing your own vegetables or sewing your own clothes, you hope. I see you, Makers Ministry. If you are supporting a local artist or business, you hope. If you are a researcher or you are workshopping a problem, you hope. If you are slapping on a mask to go get groceries, this was written during the pandemic, you hope. If you are posting information or encouragement online, trolling doesn't count, you hope. If you're like me and you spend your time creating and sharing, you hope. If you got out of bed this morning and made something or did something, you hope. If you came here this morning If you turned on YouTube to watch, you hope. Now, I've told two rather dramatic stories, one of surviving an act of domestic terrorism, the other bringing a species back from the brink of extinction. But what about the rest of us? Here is another story. You are in the middle of a difficult divorce. Newly single, your paycheck doesn't cover all your expenses. You feel like you're drowning. In desperation, you ask a coworker for a $20 loan until payday. The next day, your coworker gives you an envelope with $200 and a note that says, "You can't pay it back, but you can pay it forward." A few years later, a married couple, your friends, are struggling. One is underemployed and the other just lost their job. Do you A, give them $200 and say they can repay it when they can? Or B, give them $200 and tell them to pay it forward? A? Y'all are getting on to me. B? This is the true story of Jolena Rothweil, shared recently on NPR's My Unsung Hero. The next time she saw the couple, she gave them an envelope with $200 and a photocopy of that original note. That original gift has inspired 20 years of paying it forward, as her friends then shared that same gift forward with another couple. Small gifts of hope for the givers and receivers. Rothweil is married now, remarried, but she still remembers receiving the note and, quote, how it helped her take the next step. It felt like a lifeline, she said, and I felt like I wasn't trying to do this alone. Sometimes our most helpless moments are when we feel all alone. In those times and spaces, human connection makes all the difference. Hope can spark to life on its own, but it becomes a blazing beacon when it joins with others. We partner with our community, with our family and our friends, and with the holy in making choices that lead to transformation and change, to surviving and thriving. The connection moment from this morning is just such a story of how one traveler sparked a connection in a community, of how everyone was able to share what they had with each other. And in doing so, it was enough for all. Stone Soup is a story of hope. Hope that there is another way of being, a way committed to mutuality and abundance. Maybe you are the person who is able to share $20 or $200 or just your listening heart. Maybe you are the person being vulnerable and asking and feeling all alone. Whomever you are, you do not have to do this alone. Our man Uwe, from the beginning of the sermon, alone in his home, finds himself interrupted again and again by his neighbors. New immigrants asking for driving lessons. A transgender teen kicked out of the house looking for a place to stay. An old friend being moved to a nursing home against the family's wishes. A stray cat frozen in a snowstorm. Each time when faced with a choice, Uwe says yes. He chooses love. He chooses connection. He chooses hope. Because of his choices, he reunites with his estranged bestie. He saves his neighborhood from developers, and he becomes a surrogate grandfather to first-generation immigrants. And he gets a new roommate, a transgender teen and a cat. Each time he answers the door, he says yes to helping. Each time he answers the door, he says yes to connection and meaning. Each time he answers the door, he says yes to hope. The winter holiday season can be hard with its financial pressures, severe weather, and bombastic gaiety. Additionally, this year folks are facing a myriad of uncertainties about employment, immigration status, civil rights, just to name a few. When faced with choices this season, I hope that you say yes to connection and meaning. I hope you say yes to helping as you are able. I hope you say yes to hope. All you have to do is keep the fire of hope burning for a little while, writes UU Minister Victoria Safford. Stoke it with your life, don't allow it to go out, and pass it on. In a moment, we're going to sing at number 346, Come Sing a Song With Me, where the chorus is, and I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the wintertime. As you exit this morning, Roz and I have a rose for each of you, a reminder of love and hope from us to you and this community together in this holiday season. Please rise as you are willing and able and join in number 346, Come Sing a Song. closing words come from naturalist Jane Goodall. Hope is often misunderstood. People tend to think that it is simply passive wishful thinking. I hope something will happen, but I'm not going to do anything about it. This indeed is the opposite of real hope, which requires action and engagement. In this season of merriment and festivities, when we find ourselves adrift in grief or despair or feeling all alone, may we choose engagement and connection and find real hope. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace. Please stay for the postlude. Then, as your final act of worship, please turn and greet your neighbor.